What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Broadway Joel, the voice of Dominican boxing, and today we have a special guest coming on, and that's Edwin de la Granada de los Santos. He recently scored a big upset this past Sunday against Rayo Valenzuela, and he is so kind enough to come on the show with the voice of Dominican boxing. We'll be interviewing him, asking him all the questions. All you guys, hold on, he's actually texting me right now. Sorry guys, working live. He's texting me, he's asking me if he can hop on right now. I'm like, hey, if you want to hop on now, you can hop on now. I know we're a little bit early, but definitely I'm excited for this one. This is a big upset he scored. The day before, on Friday, I was talking to Steven Espinoza on the Twitter space, and I asked him, what prospect was he highest on? He told me Ryan Valenzuela, and I told him, my man is gonna knock this guy out. My man Edwin de los Santos is gonna knock him out, and he just kind of laughed it off like, "Oh yeah, you're the voice of Dominican boxing. You're supposed to say things like that." I'm like, he didn't say that. I'm saying like that's kind of like the laugh he gave me, and once he told me that, I was like, oh, I actually have Edwin hopping on right now. Edwin, de lo mío, ¿cómo está, mi hermano?
Estamos bien, bro. Dímelo.
Ok. Primero te quiero decir que voy a hacer la pregunta en inglés, después en español, y cuando tú me la dices en español, yo te voy a estar traduciendo tú sabes, así va a ser la entrevista, ¿ok?
Está bien.
Okay. Well, first I want to say thank you so much. You made me money. I bet on you. You were a big underdog. I made some money on you. So next time you in New York, hold me to it. I owe you dinner. Primeramente quería darte las gracias por uno venir en el show y dos por ganarme dinero porque yo puse ahí un dinerito en ti porque yo vi que tú eras hembra y me hiciste, tú sabes, un dinerito. Así que cuando usted está en Nueva York le debo una cena.
Está bien. Muchas gracias.
Okay. You had you had a fight scheduled for September 9th. But you were told you may get the Rayo fight, correct? Is that how it went down? So tú tenías una pelea el 9 de septiembre, ¿verdad? Entonces, pero una 2-3 semanas antes te dijeron que había una posibilidad que te iban a cambiar el oponente por Rayo este pasado domingo, ¿correcto?
Sí, yo estaba entrenando para el 9, entonces ellos me habían avisado ya 2 meses antes. Me habían dicho, puede haber una posibilidad de que pelee con el Rayo Valenzuela, pero de todo modo va a pelear el día 9 si no se confirma. Entonces ya faltando 2 semanas me dice, estate ready para el Rayo, que esa pelea se va a confirmar. Y ahí a los 4 días que pasaron, ahí fue que me confirmaron, pero ya yo venía preparado.
All right. He said about 2 months out, he had a fight scheduled for September 9th, and they told him like, hey, listen, there's a small possibility you may be a replacement opponent, so just have that in the back of your mind. And then about 2-3 weeks out, they told him like, no, like, hey, listen, it looks like you're most likely going to be the opponent, so start getting ready. And then 4 days out is when they made it official. Was your fight on September 9th scheduled for 130 pounds or 135 pounds? Because I know you've fought most of your career at 130. La pelea que estaba para el 9 de septiembre, ¿era una pelea en 130 o 135? Porque yo sé que la carrera tuya, la mayoría de las peleas son en las 130.
Bueno, yo decidí subir de categoría, subí a 135. La pelea era en 135 ya.
Oh, okay. He said that the fight for September 9th was actually scheduled for 130 pounds. 135 pounds, excuse me. So he had just moved up. How confident were you that you were going to win this fight once the fight got confirmed that you were going to fight Rayo? ¿Qué tanto tú estabas seguro que tú ibas a ganar la pelea cuando ya estaba confirmado que tú ibas a pelear contra Rayo Valenzuela?
Yo me di cuenta que yo le ganaba cuando me dijeron que había una posibilidad de pelear con el Rayo. Yo entré a YouTube, busqué a ver quién era, porque en realidad no lo había escuchado, pero no lo conocía. Eh, y cuando comencé a mirar los videos, digo, no, yo le gano a él. Vamos a eso. Sí, sí. Y acepté la pelea.
He said that when the fight was first presented to him, he goes that he had heard of him, but he never seen him fight. So what he did is he checked him out on YouTube and he saw what he does and how he fights, and he was like, "Oh no, I beat this guy." So what he did is he called back his team and told him like, "Yeah, no, we'll accept that fight. I beat that guy," and he did. Uh, uh, are you naturally left-handed or right-handed? Because that right hook and that right jab was absolutely amazing. It looked like your jabs was hurting him more than anything else. Yo sé que tú peleas zurdo, pero usted naturalmente escribe y tira con la mano derecha porque ese ya tú lo tenías loco con ese ya y con ese gancho.
Yo soy derecho, yo lo que soy de derecho cambiado.
Ah, ok. Porque yo sabía, yo vi ese movimiento y yo dije, coño, pero ese ya como que lo está matando.
Sí,
Yo dije, ese tiene que ser de verdad, no es zurdo, ese tiene que ser derecho.
sí.
So I asked him if he was naturally lefty or right-handed because his jab seems way too powerful for him to be a southpaw, as well as his right hook. And he says that I'm correct that he is right-handed, and that's why his he is right-handed, and confirming that that's why his lead hand is so powerful. In the second round, you had gotten dropped. How hurt were you? How hurt were you when you fell? Because I'd be honest, me as being a Dominican, I was a little worried when I saw you on that floor and you was taking, you took 2, 3 extra seconds to get up. En el segundo asalto te tiraron y yo siendo dominicano, yo estaba yendo por usted. Yo estaba un poco nervioso porque yo vi que tú cogiste 2, 3 segundos, cogiste tu tiempo parándote. ¿Qué tanto tú estabas lastimado en ese momento?
No, fue un golpe que no fue un golpe fuerte, fue un golpe level, solo que al ser aquí arriba en la cabeza, esos golpes no se asimilan. Eh, Me pasó un mareito level como de 2 segundos, pero cuando yo miro para la esquina, mi entrenador me dice que me quedara ahí, que coge el conteo. O sea, me hizo la seña. uh, y después, cuando ya iba por 6, me dijo, párate. Entonces ahí fue cuando yo me paré, ya cuando iba por el 7. Pero eso fue, ¿sabes? Parte porque hay mucha gente que cometen el error, que cogen un golpe y se paran rápido, lo que hacen que se paran tambaleando, ¿te entiendes? Y puede caerse, entonces eso le cuesta otro punto.
Okay. He says that he was a bit hurt, but he said that not too hurt. He was a little bit dizzy because the punch was at the top of the head, and those kind of punches, throw your equilibrium off. He said that the reason he took his time getting up is because as soon as he got dropped, his corner was telling him, "Hey, take your time, take your count, don't rush up." So he said that he waited until the count of seven, and got up, and then he took the count. He said that a lot of fighters make that mistake, that they want to get up right away to prove that they're good, and they get up and they're still wobbly, they're still dizzy. He's like that he didn't want to risk that, so he took his time, listened to his corner, and that's why he took his time getting up, that he wasn't that hurt. Y entonces después que tú te paraste, tú lo tiraste también. Ahí fue que yo me puse a gritar. Ahí fue que yo me puse a gritar. Y entonces hubo que tú le diste con un golpe cuando él estaba en el piso. ¿Qué fue que pasó ahí?
Cuando yo hice la combinación, él cayó en la cuerda primero. Entonces, cuando yo le tiré el golpe, que le tiré el último golpe, ya ahí él cayó sentado en la lona. O sea, que yo no podía ya frenar el golpe porque ya yo lo había tirado, lo que podía lesionarme, ¿te entiendes?
Okay.
Entonces ahí ya tú sabes lo que pasó.
So I had asked him, I was like, well, after he got dropped, he dropped Ryo right away, like immediately after. And I told him, like, I was screaming and yelling when that happened. And I was super excited. But then he hit him while he was down. So I asked him, like, what was going through his mind? Why did he hit him while he was down? He said that you know, when he dropped, when he hurt him, he kind of had like fell on the ropes, and he went to throw another punch, and he goes, by the time the punch got there, he had fell all the way to the ground, and he goes, but I had already thrown the punch, it was already on the way, I couldn't like stop it from coming. Yeah. And then so after that moment, they took a point away from you, and then you smiled, and what was going through your mind once they took that point away? Después que eso pasó, te quitaron un punto. Y yo vi que tú estabas sonriendo después de eso. Quería saber qué era que estaba pasando por tu mente, que después de que te están quitando un punto, tú estás sonriendo, porque claro, eso no es algo bueno.
Bueno, si tú te fijas, después que yo di el golpe bajo, o sea, el golpe a Valenzuela en la lona, el árbitro le pregunta si está bien, él le dice que sí. ¿Te entiendes? No puedes darle todo el tiempo que él le dio. Simplemente él debe agarrarme y de contarme el punto. No, él hizo lo contrario. Él hizo señas a todos los jueces primero, que no es así. Entonces vuelve y me agarra y vuelve a hacer lo mismo. Digo yo, que este hombre me está descontando 2 puntos. Entonces lo que hago es que me río, porque lo que me acuerdo es lo que me dijo el entrenador. El entrenador me dijo, tienes que saber que tienes que tener tu mente fría. Van a pasar mucha injusticia en esa pelea, que tú tienes que estar preparado mentalmente, ¿sabes? Y digo yo, no. Y entonces ahí me acordé, digo, míralo ahí, todo lo que me estaba diciendo. Ese fue que me reí, tú sabes.
All right. So he said that the reason he was smiling while they were taking a point away from him was because the way the referee handled it was totally wrong. So first, as soon as Rayo gets up, he asks him if he's okay. Rayo says he's okay. Then he goes to each judge, tells them he's taking a point away. Then he grabs me, then shows that he's taking a point away from me. And he goes, at that point, he knew that they were trying to give him Rayo advantage. And he says that at that moment, he remembered before the fight, his trainer told him, hey, listen, they're going to do everything possible to favor Rayo. Like, basically like saying, like, you know, you're not the favorite here. So you're the underdog. So they're not going to do you any favors. And he goes, at that moment, he thought like, wow, these people are really giving this guy all this time to recover, when what he was supposed to do was go take a point away from me, then go to Rayo, ask him if he's okay, and not go to every single judge, and then take a point away, showing the judges individually afterwards. When you stopped them, did you think it was quick? Because I heard you say after the fight that you wanted more. Did you think it was a bit quick, the stoppage? Cuando pararon la pelea, tú pensaste que eran como un poco rápido, porque yo te escuché en la esquina diciéndole al manager tuyo, no, yo quería más. Tú pensaste que como que deberían que la pelea siguiera un ching más.
Bueno, en realidad él estaba lastimado, o sea, ya eso no es decisión que sea mía, ¿te entiendes? Pero cuando ya iban pasando, él cogió unos golpes bien fuertes, ya él no era el mismo. Yo mismo me fijé, porque por eso fue que le caí arriba, porque lo vi con los pies enredados. Digo yo, no, ya él no está bien. Pero yo en realidad pensaba que la pelea se iba a alargar más para yo poder lucir lo que yo fui a llevar, porque eso no era todo lo que yo iba a hacer.
He says that as far as the stoppage, that's not up to him, but he didn't think that the fight was going to be stopped at that moment. But he says he did see Rayo's feet a little bit wobbly, and that's why he started pressing the action a little bit more. He said that he went over there to show a little bit more of his skill set, and he thought that the fight was going to go longer. He was a little bit surprised how quick the stoppage happened, but again, it's not up to him. Y también te quería preguntar, ¿tú crees que van a aprender? Oh, dame solo en inglés. Do you think that they're going to learn to stop getting Dominicans on short notice? Because they must have not learned from when Hector Luis Garcia did Chris Colbert. ¿Tú crees que ahora van a aprender que con los dominicanos no? Que ya que con corto aviso le hicieron a Héctor Luis García, ahora se lo hicieron a tú y ya van dos. dos veces que en corto aviso ganamos los dominicanos?
Bueno, ya yo creo que es hora de que nos tomen en cuenta como algo serio, porque yo lo he dicho, que la nueva generación está sacando la cara por República Dominicana. Entonces yo creo que ya es hora de que nos tomen en serio, o si no, vamos a seguir dándole sorpresa.
He said that this new generation of boxing is definitely different. And he goes that if people don't start taking us serious, we're gonna keep causing these upsets. Uh, um, so how's the Dominican Republic acting towards the Dominican boxing? Because this month, this last 30 days, let's say, we've had some really good performances from Dominicans. ¿Qué tanto la República Dominicana está recibiendo? Tanto en el último 2-3 semanas, que tanto éxito en el boxeo dominicano. ¿Cómo está reaccionando el país?
Bueno, la verdad está reaccionando muy contento, ya que nosotros estábamos más reputados por las actuaciones anteriores que habían sucedido. Y ahora están viendo de que sí, de que hay jóvenes, habemos jóvenes que tenemos deseo de superarnos, y también porque nosotros representamos el país principalmente, ¿te entiendes? Entonces, ya están viendo que estamos sacando la cara, que no vamos atrás del dinero como muchos pensaban.
He says that the Dominican Republic, they're real happy because we're now getting getting rid of the bad reputation we had in the past, and that we're now showing that we have quality fighters, and the way these fighters are coming out now is different from the ones from the past, and that it's exciting things coming soon. So what are your plans next? What are your plans next? Is you're now fighting at a new division? Excuse me, 135 pounds. You got guys like Isaac Cruz, Rolly Romero. Would you want a rematch with William Foster, the guy who beat you once? What's next for you in your career? ¿Qué viene próximamente en tu carrera? Tú sabes, tú ahora estás en una nueva división. Tiene a Isaac Pitbull Cruz, a Rolly Romero, o quiere una revancha con el que te ganó, William Foster. ¿Qué viene próximo para usted?
Bueno, no te sabría decir, hay que esperar a ver el trabajo del promotor y el manejador. La revancha con William Foster se la hicimos la misma, digamos que en el mismo mes que perdí, porque yo sé y muchos sabían por qué yo hubiera perdido. Entonces, le pedimos la revancha, y la gente de lo que dijeron que no, que si nosotros estábamos volviéndonos locos.
He says that as far as what his next move is, he's not sure. He'll leave that up to his manager and his promoter. And he said that that as far as the rematch with William Foster, he goes that within a month of him losing to William Foster, they had offered him a rematch, and that William Foster's people asked him if he was crazy, that they don't want a rematch. So I'm gonna give guys an opportunity to call in and ask your own question, and then maybe you guys can ask your own question. First, let me ask him if that's okay with him, if he has a little bit of extra more time for me, and then if not, then I'm gonna let him go. Quería darle una oportunidad a los fanáticos que lo están viendo a llamar y hacerte una pregunta a ellos mismos. ¿Tuviera bien con usted?
Sí.
Okay. All right, guys. I posted the link in the chat. Please click that link if you have a question. If you don't speak Spanish, don't worry. I will translate for you. And if you do speak Spanish, then perfect. You can ask him the question in Spanish, and I'll translate both your question and his response. Click that link. Hurry up, because I don't want to have him on here too long. And he's already been gracious with his time, and he told me he has a few things to do, which is why we ran a little bit early the interview. Okay. En lo que esperamos que si alguien llama, quería hacerte la pregunta de ¿Cómo usted vio la pelea de Héctor Luis García y también la pelea de Alberto Puello? ¿Cómo usted la vio?
Bueno, yo la vi bien, ya que yo vine diciendo que si cuando Héctor Luis le ganó a Colbert, digo, ya él le ganó al mejor, ya para mí es campeón mundial. Sí sabía que Alberto Puello le iba a tener difícil, pero también para mí ganó su pelea bien, porque el que dio los golpes más limpios fue él, el otro más se enfocó en los planos bajos.
Okay. He said that he knew that Hector Luis Garcia. Oh, so I had asked him, what did he make of the fight between Hector Luis Garcia and the other fight with Alberto Puello? He said that he knew Hector Luis Garcia was going to win because that was that he beat a tougher fighter in Chris Colbert. He knew that Gutierrez was an easier fight, and Puello, he said that he knew he was going to be in a tough fight, and that's exactly what it was. But he ended up coming out with the victory. So I have here a caller, Ari, my Dominican brother. How you doing, de lo mío? ¿Qué lo que?
I'm doing good. ¿Cómo está de lo mío? ¿Cómo está todo bien?
Todo bien, todo bien.
Bueno, primero que todo, le quiero dar las gracias a Joel, tú sabes, por darme la oportunidad y dar las gracias a ti también por darme la oportunidad de llamar y hablar contigo. Como dominicano aquí, solamente te queramos decir que te apoyamos, que siga para adelante y que tú sabes, ya tú sabes que la gente, especialmente ¿sabes? Los fanáticos mexicanos y la gente ya saben, ok, este chamaquito pelea heavy. So, ahora que tú tienes que ponerte a la pila y seguir trabajando fuerte y metiéndole mano a todo el mundo. Porque obviamente van a pensar, oh, eso fue, tú sabes, fue una chepa que se hizo, pero nosotros sabemos que tú peleas heavy, que tú, como te dice, tienes granada en la mano y hay que seguir explotando.
Claro, claro. Siempre tan activa.
All right. So you got Ari? You want to ask a question?
No, solamente llamé para darte el apoyo y gracias por la oportunidad y como te digo, sigue para adelante, sigue dándole duro y nosotros te apoyamos.
Gracias, bro.
Gracias.
All right. So basically, Ari was just saying to him that, basically now that you just got this big win, make sure you now is when you work hard. It goes, a lot of people now, where are you and they weren't before. So like to basically like stay focused and keep grinding, and basically he was giving him thanks and giving me thanks for the opportunity for him to speak with him. Axel, my brother, how you doing? What's your question for Edwin?
Yo, how you doing, man? I'm doing lovely, by the way. Just here working, had a little break, and just wanted to come in and show love and ask him a question. Dímelo, chico.
Dímelo, todo bien, bro.
Bueno. Todo bien, encantado de la vida, es más encantado después de la pelea que nos diste el sábado. Yo estoy llamando de Los Ángeles, soy cubano y mexicano, entonces obviamente andaba, tú sabes, andaba mirando la pelea para ver lo que hacía Rayo, porque ya lo tenían como estrella, ¿ok?
Sí.
Chico, te quiero decir, sigue metiéndole duro, brother, porque ya está creciendo un fanático diferente, o una base de fanáticos diferentes, que son los mexicanos y, bueno, los latinos. Entonces, pero mi pregunta, you want to translate that first, or you want me to go to the question?
Yeah, let me translate that. So basically, he was XL was saying that he's Cuban and Mexican, and that he was watching the fight more looking at Rayo because obviously he's Mexican, and a lot of people were hyping him up, and he said that basically De Los Santos really made a statement by getting that win.
Exacto.
XL, you good? Ask the question.
Yep. Thank you. Entonces mi pregunta para ti, brother, tengo dos. Tengo una que me interesa a mí. Yo sé que dijiste que lo que viene próximo en tu carrera se trata de lo que van a hacer los manejadores y todo eso. Pero, ¿cuáles son si me puedes dar una lista de vamos a ponerle 3 boxeadores que te gustaría enfrentarte con ellos el próximo año que viene, ¿cuáles serían?
Bueno, está Isael Pibul Cruz, está Rolando Romero y está el que está en realidad representando la división. Y el Bonta David, pero no estaría de más si David Henry también está ahí.
Me gusta. I like it. Go ahead, John.
All right, XL. Thanks for the call, my brother.
All right, appreciate it, man. Muchísimas gracias,
Anytime.
Edwin. Y ya tú sabes, man, tiene un fanático acá en Los Ángeles y demasiado de apoyo.
Gracias, gracias.
So basically the question was like, I know you said that your next opponent is going to be you're leaving it up to your managers and your promoters, but if you could have 3 fighters on your list, who would you like to fight? He mentioned Isaac Pitbull Cruz. He goes Rolly Romero, and obviously one of the top guys in the division, Gervonta Davis. But he said that, hey, if Devin Haney wants, if he can have a shot at Devin Haney as well, that he's willing to take that fight as well. All right. If anybody wants to call in, please do, because if not, then I'm gonna let him go. He's been very gracious with his time. He's answered questions from fans, from me, and I definitely want to get give everybody a chance to call in and not as well as be respectful of his time. Okay, y usted está, so you're training in Pennsylvania, and do you live there as well? Usted está entrenando en Pensilvania y también vive allá.
Sí, está entrenando aquí en Pensilvania y vivo en Pensilvania aquí.
Okay, he says yes, that he trains in Pennsylvania and lives in Pennsylvania. How long have you been living in the United States, and how do you like it? ¿Qué tanto usted tiene viviendo aquí en Estados Unidos y cómo le gusta?
Bueno, ya tengo 1 año y 2 meses. Ya está ahí, tú me entiendes, adaptado a la vida de aquí y eso. Me gusta.
All right. He says he's been living here for about 1 year and 2 months, and that he's adapted already, and that he likes it. Are you taking any English classes? Because speaking English is very important in terms of trying to market a fighter and trying to get a little bit more popular and relate with more people. Are you doing anything like that to learn English? ¿Usted está tomando clases en inglés o porque tú sabes que para promocionar o para hablar es muy importante hablar inglés en el boxeo? ¿Qué usted tiene? ¿Está tomando clases en inglés?
Yo estoy cuadrando para hacer un curso. Ya mucha gente me han recomendado eso y estoy viendo para empezar un curso de inglés para entonces desenvolverme también en inglés.
Okay. He says he's currently looking into taking a course in English. He goes, a lot of people have mentioned it to him, and that he's currently looking into that there's a course. I'm assuming around where he lives in Pennsylvania that he's looking into. And Randy, he does not train in Philly. He trains in Reading, Pennsylvania. All right, looks like nobody else wants to call in, so I'm gonna let him go. I don't want to take up too much of his time. Oye, Edwin, te quería dar muchas gracias por venir al programa y dame tu tiempo. Ya tú sabes, tú estás en casa, cualquier cosa, si tú tienes una pelea que viene, usted la quiere promover aquí, tú vienes aquí, no hay problema. Y ojalá tenemos una relación que así, que cuando yo quiero llamar para tenerte en un programa o te quiero hacer una pregunta, que tú sabes, tenemos esa relación como periodista y peleador.
No, siempre a la orden aquí. Ya tú tienes mi número ahí.
Sí.
Estamos en contacto. Cualquier cosa también, nada más tiene que dejarme saber.
Tato. Muchas gracias y mucha suerte, hermano. Felicidades.
Gracias.
Okay. All right, guys. That was the interview with Edwin de los Santos. I hope you guys enjoyed it. He looked very tired, but he gave me good answers. I'm glad. Damn, it was too late, Ari. I already let him go. But yeah, he gave me good answers. I like that. He just seemed very tired. Hey, listen, I'm not gonna knock him, man. He just came off a training camp. If you guys ever been around a fighter in training camp, you know how hard they work. And just because the training camp is over, don't mean they still not tired. It is a little bit early as well. Not that it's super early, but it's still, it's still in the AM. If it was in the PM, I'll be a little bit less critical. But yeah, hold on. If anybody wants to call, I'm gonna stay on for a little bit. I'm gonna stay on for a little bit. If anybody wants to call in and have a conversation with me, whether it be about my interview yesterday with Ness or about my interview today with Edwin de los Santos or anything else in the boxing world, I pinned the link to the top of the chat. So if anybody wants to call in, even if you called in already, please do. We'll have a conversation, and then we'll see where this goes. But listen, my man Nesta yesterday, man. Shout out to Nest for giving me that interview, man. He sounds like a real scarred boxing fan, man. Hold on 1 second, Ari. Now that his name is buzzing, he has to take advantage and get active. Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. His name is definitely buzzing. Hold on, Ari, what's up, man? Yeah, his name is definitely buzzing right now. All the Dominicans, like, we up right now. So like, I'm excited as to what's next for his career, because he's ranked now in the WBC. So him fighting another ranked fighter isn't out of the realm of possibility.
And I think the fact that a lot of the Mexican eyes were on Rayos, and not just the Mexican fans, a lot of the fans had their eyes on Rayo. So the fact that he completely, got Rayo up out of there,
destroyed him. It wasn't like he just knocked him out; he destroyed him.
No, he completely outclassed, in my opinion. But I feel that the fact that he was able to do that, and he has so many eyes on Rayo in that event, everybody's like, wait a minute, who is this kid? So I think it's going to be, which is why I would say, like, yo, tell him to jump on Twitter, tell him to get on social media, because that way, his name is buzzing. They'll, and the fan base will get behind that. I personally didn't ask any questions when I jumped in, because I missed the first part of your interview, so I didn't want to like repeat any questions that you already had asked. So I just wanted to, show support. But I'm definitely going to go back and watch the rest of the interview once we're off.
No, I appreciate that. No, I listen. He hold on. Yo, what is Karma telling me to calm down for? What do you mean calm down? What am I doing? I'm not screaming. I'm not screaming yet. I'll be getting loud here. I'm not screaming. But yeah. How high are you on Edwin de los Santos? Like, where do you think his potential is?
I mean, I think here's the thing. The thing with me, I don't like to jump into all these conclusions, because a lot of times, look, before this fight, I kept saying, like, who has Rayo beat? Like, who is he proven against, right? Because I feel a lot of time fans, they follow into these narratives of like, oh, this dude's a killer, this dude's a killer. And you're like, wait a minute, you look at his resume, and who exactly did he beat? You know what I'm saying? Me watching as a fan, and I was one of the people, and I was one of the people who's like, look, Rajo's chin is going to get tested this weekend. Before the fight, I was like, his chin is going to get tested, and we're going to see if he has a chin or not. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. And
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure it was a chin issue. I think he just was getting hit with some clean shots, man.
No. I agree with you. But what I'm saying is that we had not seen him in the ring with anyone who was touching him, right? And one of the things I said, De Los Santos is going to be someone that's going to touch him, and we're going to find out if he's really what people, make him out to be. So I'm not going to come out here and say, oh, De Los Santos is a top 5, 135 pounder. No. What I'm going to say is he's a dangerous against anybody at 135. I think he'll put up a good fight against anyone at 135. And I definitely believe he has the power to hurt anyone at 135. And he could be a potential world champion. But I also believe that they have to match him up right and keep getting these opportunities and put a number up against the right opponents.
I agree with you that he is a real puncher. I do think the power is legit. I don't think it was a fluke. Well, his record says that. He's 15-1 with 14 knockouts. So his record shows he's a puncher.
Yeah, the power's there.
Yeah, I personally think he knocks out Isaac Cruz. I think he knocks out Rolly Romero. I'll be honest with you. And you can say those guys are more proven, but are they really? Like, who has Isaac Cruz beat? Like, I guess Jesse, not Jesse, what's his name? The other Magdaleno brother, not Jesse. Forget it. Diego Magdaleno.
Diego Magdaleno, yeah.
Yeah, that win was a good win. It was an impressive win. But other than that, he went the distance with Francisco Vargas, who's, I don't know how that guy gets licensed for boxing matches. Went the full distance with him, and Rayo knocked that guy in one. Then he fights Tank in a close fight, to be fair, but Tank had a broken hand. Goes to fight a Wash Gamboa, and then a featherweight in his last fight. I feel like a lot of his wins, his opponents, like we look at him with the exception of Diego Magdaleno. And by the way, Diego Magdaleno is not a killer. He's just not a wash fighter, not a bum. He's a decent fighter. You know, I'm like, I don't know. And he gets hit. You're not gonna just walk through a fucking Edwin de los Santos right hook. It's just not gonna happen. So I think
another thing is, I think that Cruz, the fight that he had, what's that common opponent that he has with Michelle Rivera? Matias Romero or something like that, or there's the Spanish from Spain. I'm sorry, the Argentinian guy. I think he got outboxed that fight.
Yeah, I
look it up on BoxRec real quick. There was a I think it's Matias Romero or something like that. That fight, if you saw it, I thought he got outboxed in that fight, and then Michelle Rivera fought the same guy, and Michelle Rivera completely outboxed him.
Yeah, I mean
it's like 3 fights back, like 3 or 4 fights back.
I gotta check it out. Hold on. It's Jose Matias Romero.
Okay, Jose Matias Romero, that guy. If you go back and watch that fight, Pitbull Cruz versus that guy, I thought he got outboxed.
Yeah,
and then
you thought he lost?
I thought he lost that fight.
Yeah,
I thought he lost that fight.
Listen to the judges' scorecards: 114, 113, 115, 112. So 2 of the judges had it real close, and then Steve Weisfeld had it 118, 109. So he had it really wide. He had it really
Listen,
wide.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Go back and watch that fight, or you could do that score. You could watch that score thing that you do in your show.
Yeah.
And then, but look, like I said, I honestly feel that, you know, guys like Michelle Rivera and Edwin de los Santos, guys like Pitbull Cruz, that's who you have to go after. If you're not gonna get a Tank fight, that's who you go after. The reason why is because those guys have the Mexican fan base behind them. Their names are buzzing, right? If you see the reception that Isaac Cruz got, you know, the fan base was loving him.
I just think, just based off how they've moved Isaac Cruz, I don't think Isaac Cruz's handlers are gonna be like, all right, yeah, let's throw him in against Edwin de los Santos, against Michelle Rivera, because I think they know what they have. They know that Michelle Rivera and de los Santos would beat him. That's what I think. And because you got to look at who has he fought, with the exception of Tank and anybody. I would fight Tank. You know, it's a big payday. Anybody would fight Tank. And so he took that fight. You look at his resume; it's pretty thin. Like, you can argue that De Los Santos' win over Jose Valenzuela is better than Diego Magdaleno. Like, I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but you can make the argument. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I feel like, you know, I think the 135 division is one of those divisions that no particular fighter has like an outstanding resume that, you know, separate themselves from the rest. Mm-hmm. And we've spoken about this on Chicken Talk. A lot of these guys have similar resumes. You know, the guys at 135, the top guys at 135, they all have similar resumes. So I don't think there's no particular guy that has like a more outstanding resume than the other. But there's a lot of good fights available. And I think, you know, like I said, the reason why I'm saying is, I'm not talking about cloud chasing. I'm talking about, look, these are the guys you're saying that are the best. They have a good fan base. That's what I'm going to go after. Because, you know, right now,
rub off of them. I get what you're saying.
Look, yeah, I honestly,
that's what I was trying to tell Ness yesterday. I don't know if you saw the interview. I was like,
I watched. I'm sorry to cut you off. I watched a good part of the interview. You know, and I hear what you're saying. I agree with a lot of the things you were saying. I don't really, like I said, I don't really watch his show for particular reasons or whatever. But I agree with a lot of things you were saying. But I feel that, look, Cruz, like I said, his name is buzzing. You know, this is a perfect example. I feel like a lot of the Mexican fan base now we're looking at De Los Santos like, yo, we like what this kid did.
Not for nothing, I got mad love from Mexican boxing fans, both on my YouTube channel and on Twitter. Like, I've never had any. What I don't want to say never. I mean, for the most part, honestly, Mexican fans, when they hit me up, they see what I'm doing with the Dominican boxing thing, they loving it. They loving it and they supporting. So they will. You'll be surprised how many Mexicans will be rooting for De Los Santos if he was to fight Pitbull. You'll be surprised.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, if you, I went back and watched the fight, and I actually, somebody has it up on YouTube. They recorded the fight themselves. They were at the fight and they recorded the fight themselves, and they put it up on YouTube. And you hear the crowd. You hear the crowd once the action is going, and you could hear the person recording. He's talking a little bit, and he's a Mexican guy, and you could hear him say like, "Yo, this guy's no joke. Like, well, we like what this guy see," and you could hear him saying these things on the video. And then the part where he dropped a rayo, and the referee was giving him all that time, you could hear the crowd booing. You know what I'm saying? And that's a Mexican crowd. You hear them booing, but they're not booing at De Los Santos. They're booing at the referee, that because they know the bullshit that is going on. Yeah. So I think that, him beating Rayo is a perfect example of somebody whose name is buzzing, and then you get him out of there and it's rubbing off.
Now he's got a little bit of rub. He came on my show now for whatever. If he listen off me, he gained like 10 Instagram follows. And I'm gonna do it again because I think it's important for me to help these guys get their social media up. Yo, just off me interviewing him, he may have gained a few followers now, and I'm gonna screen share his Instagram again, is because I want our people to win. And after that win, I've seen him. He's been on a few platforms. Here's his Instagram for everybody who hasn't followed him yet. Edwin_la_Granada on Instagram. Go follow him. Even if you fuck with me, he just gave me an interview and he gave you the shot to call in and ask him a question. Even if you didn't ask a question, he gave you the opportunity.
I also feel that, Instagram, I understand Instagram, but I feel like a lot of these fighters should be on Twitter, man. Because I feel like boxing Twitter is where where hardcore boxing fans are at. That's where you communicate with them. I was actually going to tell you,
to tell him to get on Twitter.
Not just him. You got to tell fucking Michelle Rivera to be more active on Twitter. You got to tell
Elvis, all those guys. Yeah.
Elvis, you got to tell all those guys, because if they're on Twitter, like, look, quiet mouth don't get fed. So if you want a tank fight, if you want this, you want that, you got to start talking. Think about it. Rolly Romero got a tank fight of what? Of running his mouth, of talking. You get what I'm saying? Because what's his resume like? You know what I'm saying? So these guys got to get active on Twitter and on social media. In a way, the next thing, like, you guys were going back and forth with the English. Yeah. I think it is important. I think Dominican fighters speaking English, it is important to communicate. Not just.
I just didn't like how he was trying to say Michelle Rivera speaks bad English. That's not true. That's just simply not true.
Honestly, I'm going to keep it 100 with you, man. I feel like he's been regurgitating some of those top rank points, talking about Dominicans are lazy, talking about they're lazy, they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that. A lot of the time is that top rank mentality, and we heard it from Elvis Rodriguez's manager.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm saying? I mean, you know what it is? Do you know why I wasn't too offended of how negative he was on the Dominicans? Is because I'm a Jets fan, and I know that this has nothing to do with football, but I'm a Jets fan, so I'm always negative on how the Jets are gonna do. Even when people go, "Yo, we just drafted this guy, we just signed this guy," I'm always negative just because, like, yo, you got to prove it to me. Win a Super Bowl, make the playoffs, make it to the Super Bowl, do something. That's my mentality with the Jets. So when I see him, how he is with the Dominican fighters, I see myself in him, but not with the Dominicans. I see myself in him as if Dominican fighters are his Jets. Like, he's like, yo, we've only had Jason Rosario unify in the last, 50 years. Like, come on, man. I understand that perspective, but what I didn't like was I felt like saying Michelle Rivera doesn't speak good English. That's a lie. So that I didn't like, and I'm like, yo, bro, we coming up. Like you don't see this, back.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like honestly, look, and like I said, respect to him. I don't know him personally. The only time that I've really watched, I think I've watched the show maybe twice, and one of the times was with when you were there.
Yeah.
But I feel like, look, man, I feel like he regurgitates some of those top ranked talking points that we hear. And he was being a negative Nancy, to be honest, against Dominicans.
But to be fair, we did had Javier Fortuna, who missed weight a couple times and looked in horrible shape in the Ryan Garcia fight. We did had Joan Guzman miss weight a billion times, it felt. So like, but we still have that stench on us. So I know,
and I agree that there's a reason. I understand that there's a reason why he feels the way he does.
That's what I was trying to say.
You know what I'm saying? I respect that. But me right now, watching these young kids, the way they're coming up, the way they're working, you spoke to the trainer in the Dominican national team, the coach, and I feel like there's a new work ethic. There's a new structure there. So these guys are only going to keep coming up, right? And a lot of times we saw that, they look at Dominicans, we're going to pad some of these guys' records, just throw some Dominican and let them get beat up. Or let's give a Dominican a short notice fight. You get what I'm saying? So it's not, it's these new guys are not, it's not what it used to be. And I feel like him having that big of a platform with with the amount of fan base that he has, if he's telling their people, oh, Dominicans are lazy, Dominicans are this, Dominicans are that, being negative, it's like people are gonna fucking think and say the same shit. You know what I'm saying? So there's ways of wording it. You get what I'm saying? That you can be more positive.
I see what you're saying. I can understand you feeling that way, and I'm not gonna say I didn't feel that way in certain parts of the interview, but what I will say is, listen, that I'm looking at that as a positive. You know why? Because I'm super Dominican. Let's go. I'm positive. This is the new turn. This is when we're gonna be the best. And he's super negative. And I feel like since he has a big platform, I have my platform. You could say it's big or not, whatever. I'm not here to say if it is or isn't. But that clash of ideas, us going back and forth, we have a good relationship. I see it in the future where, all right, time will tell. Let's say I'm saying that this new crop of Dominicans is way better than the previous era, and let's see where they develop. He's saying that they're not. That this is the same old, and in 4 or 5 years, we'll see who's right. His opinion is recorded on my YouTube channel. My opinion is recorded on my YouTube channel. In 4 or 5 years, I'll clip it if I'm right, and I'll be like, hey, Nesta, you remember this video? When you said Dominicans this, Dominicans that, now look, we got 2 undisputed, or we got a number 1 pound for pound, or a number 3 pound for pound. Whatever. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself in terms of where this can go, but let's just be honest, it can get there. Michelle Rivera is a gym rat. Elvis Rodriguez has dynamites in both hands. Hector Luis Garcia just scored 2 dominant performances against top 5 people in his division. De Los Santos just scored a really, really big upset against one of the top, who Showtime president said that was his top prospect. Like, the ball is moving, whether he notices it, I notice it, you notice it. The ball is moving in a positive direction, and now that PBC is invested in them, it's gonna be good for us, and we're gonna develop. And again, they got me, who's always gonna get them interviews when people won't. Like, De Los Santos didn't get a post-fight interview. I don't know if you noticed. Guess what? He got an interview on my show.
I noticed. But one thing that I will
interview on my show though.
And I saw numerous other interviews that he got from the. He got a lot of. Honestly, he got a lot of Mexican love out there, because I saw a lot of guys, interviewing him after, giving him props. So I respect that, man, and I'm happy for him.
Axel, you want to jump in?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now look, I can only speak on what he just said when it comes to the Mexican fan base and the whole the Dominican love and the Dominican, I guess you would say hate. I don't know what you really classify it as. I told you when I first got on board with you, and I said, I love what you do because Ness is the boxing voice and la 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 la, right? I feel like he kind of bashes his own people a little bit, but again, I'm not Dominican, I'm Cuban and Mexican. And you were like, yeah, that's my guy. And then you explained to me, why he feels that way, kind of like how you explained to your man right here. But I love what your man is saying. And what's your name, bro?
Ari.
Adi, I'm Excel, man. Nice to meet you. And I love the points you're making, man, because you're basically taking the words out of my mouth. If I was to speak on it, you know what I'm saying? But who better than another Dominican? You know what I mean? And it's real shit, man. When you're on a platform that big, why hasn't De Los Santos got an interview with him? You know what I'm saying? Or why hasn't it been? You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's the case or not. But as far as the Mexican fan base, like I told De Los Santos, he got new eyes on him, and especially with that fighting style, he didn't win by points. He won by by a stoppage in what was it, 3 rounds? You know what I'm saying? 3-4 rounds. So Chico and Rayo was that the mini monster. You know what I'm saying? I know because the carne asadas and all that shit that we do, it's full of. I'm in Cali, full of Mexicans. My part of my family, if not my lady's family, that's all they're talking about. Rayo, Benavides, and Canelo being scared to, fight big names or whatever, being a sellout. You know what I'm saying? They still buy the fight, support it, whatever. But Rayo was oh yeah, he was that next, superstar in the making. You know what I'm saying? De Los Santos came in and put a I'm not gonna say a complete stop to that, but he did pause on that. You know what I'm saying? He did take some light away. You know what I'm saying? And kind of like what you were saying, Dominicans, and I told you this last time too, Joe, Dominicans for the longest have been, I guess, underrated, man, or not really recognized. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's a couple things. It's a couple things. One, we've gotten it. We got to be honest. We've gotten in our own way as far as not making weight and stuff like that. But another thing is, we've been like not mismanaged. A lot of this, like this, taking fights on short notice, that's not a new thing with Dominicans. So a lot of times they were like the only time you would see a Dominican, he took a fight on 3 weeks notice and he gets knocked out, and you go, oh, Dominicans are bums. And it's like, no, that guy's a good fighter, but he took that fight on 3 weeks notice. Right. That's happened a lot through history. And I actually have a guy, his record was like 25-5. He has a really, really good story, and I'm gonna interview him. And he never was world champion, but he has a lot of stories like that where he had to earn it the hard way, taking fights on short notice, taking fights against Olympic gold medalists, against a guy who was a 4-time New York Golden Glove champion, taking these short fights and had to really, really make his name to finally fight on Showtime and on HBO and stuff like that. Fernando, what's going on, brother? I see you just hopped on. You want to speak?
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt.
You good?
So, look, man, the Dominican fighters, they got a place on PBC through Samson Lukowicz, right?
Not only through Samson, because Hector Luis Garcia is not Samson. Alberto Puello's not with Samson.
Right, there was Sean Promotions.
Yeah, Sean Promotions. Elvis Rodriguez not with Samson. Carlos Adames not with Samson. So no, not only through Samson.
Okay, my bad. I didn't know that. But what I'm gonna say is two things. Economically, it always makes sense for these like the GTB promotions and Samson and I forget the other one that's involved in PBC cards. But it's economical for them to bring in Dominican fighters on short notice, and Dominican fighters are taking advantage of that. Like they're not laying down for anybody. They're coming to fight. So the two things that I wanted to say is I feel like the possibility is endless because when it comes to purses, they're not going to be a diva about it, right? They're hungry. They want opportunity. They definitely want to earn their keep, and they want to make a name for themselves because Argentina's on, Mexico's on. Even Colombia, actually, like with Linares and a couple other fighters.
Linares is Venezuela, not Colombia.
Oh, my bad. I thought he was Colombian.
Nah, he's Venezuelan, brother. But listen, the thing is with Dominican boxers, we are now getting the investment. We are now getting the opportunities, and now I feel we have the talent. I think the like the stars are aligning for the Dominicans. We have like De Los Santos had 265 amateur fights, so this isn't a guy, just learning how to fight. Hector Luis Garcia had over 300 fights, amateur fights. So we're
Do you
getting
think
now
Rayo's
guys.
team? Do you think
We're getting
Rayo's team?
Hold on. What's up?
Do you think Rayo's team like they didn't know about his amateur experience? Like, you think they just overlooked this
Listen,
guy?
there's nothing Rayo could have done to beat De Los Santos. That's just a bad style matchup, bro. Listen, those punches that De Los Santos was landing, Rayo was not reacting well to it, and it's because he got bricks in his hand. When the fight got made, I don't know how long you've been subscribed, but I was telling everybody who would listen, this guy's gonna knock him out. I was telling everybody. Everybody was laughing at me, trolling with me. All my Mexican friends on Twitter were trolling me, making fun of me. That when the guy gets knocked out, Joel predicted it. Yo, bro, I did my research. I called all these Dominicans. I got all their numbers. Yo, what's up with this other little Santos? They all told me, yo, that guy fucking can punch. That's one of the hardest hitting Dominicans right now. That's what every single one of them told me. And they were all confident he was going to win. So once I saw that confidence, I came on my channel and told everybody. So Rayo did not underestimate him. He just got knocked out by a guy who can crack and a guy who has a lot of experience.
No, I'm not saying Rayo. If anything, Rayo had the advantage, right? Rayo had the advantage because he probably gets word first on what's going down first before the B-side fighter does, right?
Yes.
But I'm talking about Jose Benavidez Sr., like just the matchmakers. Like, did they look at this kid's amateur record? Because I didn't even know it was that deep.
I'm pretty sure they overlooked him, underestimated him.
Yeah. Well,
And they figured 3 weeks notice, how much can he really hurt this kid?
I should have asked Edwin about this, but at the press conference, Rayo was talking about, after this fight, maybe I could get a fight with Pitbull Cruz and all that. Like, all right, you talk about fights later down the line, bro. You got a guy right in front of you. You don't even know how dangerous this guy. You don't know how hard this guy hits. If you knew how hard Edwin De Los Santos hit, you would be very, very focused on him and not worry about a possible fight with Pitbull Cruz.
I think an additional thing that what a lot of people don't realize in terms of the Dominican fighters of this generation, of this group, they're not going back to Dominican in between camps and partying and doing this shit. What I've noticed, and this is just my opinion, I believe, listen, these guys are doing proper training camps in Vegas, right? Or proper camps in the US. So they have trainers that have been doing it here for years in the US, and they're guiding them, how to do their training, their what's it called, their food, everything, right? So they're doing proper training camps in the US. So they have everything that's available to them. And that's different from living in Dominican Republic. I was born in Dominican. I lived in Dominican. I know what it's like. So it's not the same. So I think that's a huge difference. And then you add the amateur pedigree, and the possibilities are endless. But I'm very happy that these guys, for example, De Los Santos just said in an interview, he was saying, I'm gonna rest for a week, but I'll be back in training camp. I'll be back training. I gotta stay ready. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a different. Go ahead.
I got a question. What I don't know if Nestor was joking or not, but he said like some shit about Hyson Rosario having Snickers bar under the mattress or something like that. Was he playing around? Or?
No, let me address that. I'll address that. So, there has been rumors about Jason Rosario having discipline issues as far as eating. Now the Snickers thing, I've only heard from him, to be fair, but the reason I say I will believe him. When I interviewed Samson Lukowitz told me that between fights, Jason Rosario used to blow up to 200 pounds. Now you're not blowing up to 200 pounds, eating veggies and avocados. You're eating Snickers and ice cream and rice and fried food and stuff like that. So I don't know Ness to be a liar, and there has been rumors that Jason Rosario has discipline as far as what he eats. So I'm not going to call him a liar at all. Jason Rosario does have that reputation. And if he wants that reputation off of him, start performing, start winning, come in shape all the time, learn how to take punches to the body, and then maybe, you'll get that stench off of him. So that is something that I've heard coming from his side and directly from his promoter, not from anybody else. And this is something he said on my channel. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find that video. Okay, y'all can continue.
Yeah, I think the problem with Jason Rosario was that I think, in my opinion, he was leaving too much in the gym. If you look at the fight that he lost prior to fighting J-Rock, if you look at that fight, he didn't lose because he was outclassed. He lost because he was tired.
I mean, he's a big guy. He's a big guy for 154.
That's what I'm saying. So he was tired. Okay, and then he lost. But then he, I think he did a good performance versus Jermell Charlo. Obviously he had a great performance versus J-Rock. But then I think he had a good performance versus Jermell Charlo. But I think he left too much in the gym. You know what I'm saying? His body wouldn't take it. I think the same thing happened with Lubin. I in my opinion, he hurt Lubin with a jab, right? So, and then after that, you see him. He's like stumbling back to the corner. I think he was leaving too much in the gym. At 160, we'll see what he can do. He's still young. He's not an old fighter. He's still like 26 or whatever. I don't know how old he is, but he's like around 26 years old. So he still has time. I think that, doing things properly.
I'm not writing home, especially in how weak that division he is in.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, like I feel like
Fondura's a killer, bro. Like, he's gonna reign 154.
Fondura's at 154. He moved up to 160.
For which fight? So after Lubin, he moved up, or?
Yeah, he moved up. He moved up after Lubin. He had a fight down in Dominican Republic, and I think they were just trying to rebuild his confidence up again. But I think he looked better at 160. But we'll see. We'll see. I think if he does a proper training camp and doesn't leave too much in the gym, I think he'll be pretty good at 160.
So he's had 3 fights since his loss to Lubin. He weighed 168.5 pounds in his next fight after Lubin, 160, and then 162. So this is a big dude if he's weighing that much. He's 27 years old. I'm not going to completely write him off, and I wouldn't be surprised he gets a title at 160, considering how weak the division is.
Do you think he gets a Mando spot with Johnny back?
Yeah, Johnny back or these Lara's getting old. He's gonna get elevated once Triple G retires, which I feel after the Canelo loss and then he also has the IBF belt, which I think maybe Falcao will end up getting that belt. Falcao is not a killer. Don't get me wrong.
Wait, guys. What do you see happening at 160? Do you see Jamal, and if Lara gets the belt off of GGG, like let's say GGG vacates, or like he loses and then vacates?
Yeah.
Do you see, and then Lara gets the belt, he gets bumped up? Do you see Jamal unifying with Lara? Like how do you see the 160
I
thing?
I see Jamal moving up to 168.
I think a unification with Lara is very realistic. I mean, they're both within the PBC network, and it's a very doable fight. And I think it's a winnable fight. Yeah, it's a very winnable fight for Charlo, in my opinion. And I think that it's a sellable fight as well. It's a fight that you can sell to the fan base. I'm not talking about pay-per-view. I'm just talking about it's a fight that the fans would tune in to watch. So I think that's a very good possibility as well. At 160.
Well too.
Correct. These are guys that used to train together. They know each other. And Lara is not the same fighter that he used to be. His legs are not as fresh. He doesn't move as much as he used to. So I think it's a winnable fight for Charlo. So I think that's a very possible fight.
Yeah, it's a possible fight. It's not one necessarily that I'm clamoring for, even though it will be for unification. But it'll be definitely a step up from the garbage that's
Joe, not to cut you off, but that's even if Lara wins his next fight, who I think that they're trying to line him up with Danny Garcia or I think I even heard, I'm not sure, I might be wrong, Keith Thurman. They might have said something like that. Am I tripping on Keith Thurman? But I know Danny
Well,
Garcia.
Keith Thurman is not trying to move up from 147 because he was saying like, oh, he'll do a Danny Garcia rematch, but he said, oh, let's do it at 147. Why you got to move up, whatever. So
Yeah,
I
'cause he
don't
wants
think
a
Keith Thurman
ranking.
is Yeah, no,
He
I
wants
hear
a
what you're
ranking,
saying.
yeah.
Correct. So I don't think now Lara. I don't know if Danny Garcia is going to move up to 160 to fight him, and I don't know if Lara could make 154. So I think another possible fight is once Lara gets elevated as champion or he wins. I think another possible fight is a fight with Carlos Adames because Carlos Adames is there within the PBC.
Yeah, Carlos Adames is fighting for the WBC interim belt.
Correct versus Montiel. Versus Montiel.
Yeah,
That's
and the winner of that fight is going to be mandatory to Charlo, so that could be his next fight.
That's another possibility. So I think there's a lot of possibilities for those guys within those fights. Once those belts become available.
Hold on, guys. I don't know if you guys know who Norberto Jimenez is going to fight Andrew Maloney on the Haney undercard. And Randy, yes, I do think that's been confirmed. And Norberto Jimenez, he doesn't have a super clean record, but if Andrew Maloney thinks it's just one of those Dominicans that are just an easy fight, he's going to have a long night. Norberto Jimenez can fight. I'm gonna pull up his resume. He has a lot of upsets. He's a little on the older side now, but
now because you're talking that way, Joe, I'm gonna check him out. You know what I'm saying? So that's where we go back to how important it is for people who have any kind of platform and any kind of voice and are just fans in general. You know what I mean? To speak highly of your own when it comes to the sport, because the sport is very marketed by race a lot of times. Like if we call it, what are the biggest selling fights? You know what I'm saying? What against who? It's a Mexican versus a black. You know what I mean? And
black or Puerto Rican.
Yep, exactly. So I think eventually, man, I really see it as a big possibility. Dominicans are going to put their names on a map.
Yo,
you know
why don't they cross promote more with baseball? Like you got Chapman kind of giving Ugas a push, and that did something. It did something. Like Chapman getting behind.
You know what it is?
A personal story.
That you gotta make the relationship. You see the same way. Like you see the people I'm having on these shows, right? I'm making relationships. I'm going out. I'm reaching out to them. Some I'm getting through mutual friends, but some I'm doing on my own. I'm reaching out. Sometimes, if I'm Puello and Garcia, I'll DM A-Rod, Albert Pujols, and David Ortiz. Who knows? They may respond. They may not. But
why don't they visit Yankee Stadium like on the week of they could visit the stadium. Just being around there, you don't realize like how much you can network and different things like that.
I don't know about just being around there. But what I will say is I do want to see more Dominican baseball players use their platform to help out. Because the Dominican baseball players like Tatis and Big Papi and Pedro Martinez and these guys are super duper stars in the Dominican Republic. So if they could just literally take a picture with Elvis Rodriguez and go follow this guy. This guy's a future world champion. He's a fantastic boxer. Just that alone, he can gain, 20, 30,000 subscribers. Because these guys have, 5-10 million followers on Twitter and on Instagram and all that.
It also goes back to what Rio was saying. It was like have them interact more on Twitter, on social media, and doing what you're doing now, man. These interviews with the people, especially if you got a platform like Boxing Voice. I hate to bring this man up, but nothing wrong with it. But you know what I'm saying?
Listen. I'm gonna get Ness. Listen, leave Ness up to me. I know.
There you go,
Fernando. You Dominican?
Yeah.
All right, so. All my Dominicans, and I know you're not Dominican, XL, but you're an ally. Relax. Leave Ness up to me. Once these Dominicans start coming up, he's gonna be contacting me, and I'm gonna be bridging that gap. And he just needs to see a little bit more. and that's why I didn't attack him like how I would somebody else. Because me and him, we've already had these conversations. How he's like, man, I've been up. This is off camera. He's like, man, I've been a podcaster for 12 years, and man, we haven't had one superstar. We haven't had this. We haven't had that. So he's just somebody that needs to see to believe.
Frustrated, probably.
Once these guys start showing him, I'm gonna bridge the gap. You heard him. He was like, damn, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have met Hector Luis Garcia because I had made the introduction for him. That was cool. Whatever. He was saying that he's having trouble getting Carlos Adames on the show. If Carlos Adames, I consider him a friend. Like, that's my man. If I was over there, I'm like, yo, let's go do this. He'll do it. I know. So I'll be the bridge to that gap that's happening right now. But the Dominicans, yo, they got to do their part. And that's why I'm preaching patience to everybody who's attacking him right now. Just let's have some patience. Once our guys start doing good, we'll prove it to him. Like, yo, listen, everything we're doing our part. Now do your part. Have them on the show. Now go to the gym, interview them, do this, do that. Leave him up to me, man.
Yo, guys, I gotta go. But thanks for having me on the show. And you definitely put on for a lot of fighters that weren't getting represented right.
Nah, for sure, man. And I'm going to keep doing it. I ain't never going to stop till we on top. Fernando, if you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button, too, on this video. As well as tell a friend to tell a friend. You know, any fan, any boxing fan, especially if they're Dominican, make sure they subscribe, man. Help me out, brother.
Of course.
Subscribe from your mother's YouTube account. If you know, help me out, man. I'm trying to get to 2,000. That's my goal right now. My goal is to get to 2,000. Right now, I'm at 1,200 and something.
You're gonna get there, bro.
2,000.
You're gonna get there.
I'll get there for now. I'll get there. But yeah, look, Juan Soto's another guy who can help out these guys if they start helping them out. But yo, XL, I'm about to hop off, man. I appreciate you calling in, man, and like I always tell you, even though you're not Dominican, you definitely always welcome. And I'm gonna keep these interviews coming. I'm gonna keep this content coming for you guys.
Hey, man, I appreciate you. I told you before, and I tell you again, man. Thank you again for having us.
Nah, no problem. Anytime, man.
All right,
guys. If you guys are watching this and you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do help me out. Hit that subscribe. Also, hit that like button. And I have a lot of good interviews on deck. You know, a lot of these interviews take a little bit of time to get people on, but I have a lot of interviews that I'm working on, and a lot of exciting things are coming to the channel. It's just I gotta work. I gotta smooth some things out. So, guys, have patience with me, and I'll have one. Hold on, Ari, hop back on. Ari, you wanted to tell me something?
No. I'm sorry. I'm at work, so I got a phone call, so I had to jump off real quick. I don't know if you're ending the show.
Yeah, I'm ending the show. I thought you had something to say.
No, listen, actually I do, man. Listen, okay. These guys, these Dominicans, they want to learn English. I'll fucking help them. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a qualified as a teacher. You know, I've never taught in my life, but I know English. I know Spanish. And if these guys are interested, I'm also willing to help for free. So let them know, man, you talk to these guys. I'm keeping it 100 because if it helps our people and I could do it, why not?
Yeah, you know what it is? Most of them don't live in New York. The only one that lives in New York is Luis Reynaldo Nunez. Everybody else either lives in Pennsylvania or in Florida.
Where does he live at?
Who, Nunez?
Yeah.
Lives in Brooklyn.
Okay, because that's another kid I like, man. That kid is special, and a lot of people sleeping on him.
Don't worry, he's coming on the show. Don't worry about
it. Okay. No, but look, these guys that are, listen, this is part of the reason why I was saying you got to tell these guys, get on Twitter, get on social media, make these connections with the fans, because the fans are the ones that are going to support you, right? So even if they live in Vegas and they're training in Vegas, look, if they have 20 minutes of their time, 20 minutes out of the whole day to even have a conversation to practice their English, why not? You learn for free. I'm you know what I'm saying? So
no, for sure. I'll relay the message. And I also, next time I see them in person, because through the phone, these people, they always trying to get you off the phone because they're busy. Next time I see some of these boxers in person, I'm going to tell them about the Twitter. I'm going to explain to them what a Twitter space is and why is it important and how it works. And I'm definitely, because I definitely see the value with it. And it's something that I don't feel like other boxers are doing. Like no other boxers are really hopping on Twitter Spaces, especially regularly. So I want to tell them what a Twitter Space is. If I gotta hold a Twitter Space, like and hold an interview where everybody else can ask questions and I act as a translator, get them familiar with people. If that's what I got to do, I'll do that. But I'm definitely gonna make again. They got me. That's what I when I was telling Ness, he was like, "Oh, but what do they have?" I'm like, "They got me. They got me. I'm the bridge. Yo soy el puente."
But that's what I'm saying. Like you like, especially if it'll be easier for you to make these connections for them when they're on Twitter, when they're on social media. Be like, look, talk to this person, do this, do that. So
no, I know. Get them on Chicken Talk. Introduce.
Get them on Chicken
I
Talk.
know,
You know what I'm saying? So these are things that are available to them for free. So they should take advantage of it, man.
Nah, for sure. Yo, all right, I gotta run. But yo,
thank you for having me, man.
Nah, anytime, man. And like I said, the Nunez interview is coming a lot sooner than you think.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, my man.
All right, later.
Time, guys.